Okay, we're almost ready to turn in our project. Let's say I'm almost done with mine. I'm on my last polygon here. So I'm going to go to, again, geometry, shapes, polygon, and start filling in this second eye over here. And let's just say that this happens to you. Let's say you're clicking and maybe you accidentally click to here because this kind of thing will happen. And it went to a spot that I didn't really want. I'm just going to keep going here and pretend I didn't click to kind of a bad spot on there. And last click, there you go, there's my polygon. Oops, looks like I put, and this is especially problematic if you have a grid on when you're doing your polygon. You should probably take your grid off first. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So one way to do this is to right click on the point. So if you right click on the point and choose this idea of redefine, you can now redefine that point instead of redoing the polygon just on the ellipse. And now I'm really fine. I can do my polygon and it's going to be just fine. What would have been easier is if I just, before I do my polygon, I'm going to take my grid off. So I'm going to go view, let's see, view, hide grid, or no grid. I guess it says no grid. So that really saves, and probably you might even really, by the time you're done with all your graphs, you might want to just go ahead and hide the axis as well, because again, the axis in a similar way can kind of get in the way of doing a polygon. So I'm just going to hide the axis. So I'm going to, again, go back to menu, geometry, shapes, polygon, redo my polygon. Hopefully this won't take too long. I'm not going to do a great job of it. I'm kind of in a hurry. Just want to show you a couple things on here. I'm going to right click on it. Oops. Let's see. Color and fill color. I'm going to fill that thing in black. And I'm going to hide some of those points. Another way to hide points rather than doing individually, just give you a few tips. If it's not too much in the way, you can click hide show menu actions, but it kind of, some of those things get in the way. It's probably too much for you to be able to do that. I hit at least a few of the points that way. Here's a few more points. I'm just going to right click on some of those. Choose hide. I guess you get better at it after a little while. Okay, I'm pretty much ready. There's another little housekeeping thing that I didn't tell you about that would be nice to do. Do you see how this circle has a relation point in the middle that I really don't want there? I don't want that. So I'm going to go to my circle. And by the way, I'm on polygon right now. The circle's underneath the polygon that I filled in that yellow space with. So if I hit the tab key, it goes to the function underneath, in this case, a relation underneath. And I'm going to double click it. And I get my relation there. And I'm going to put a restriction in here. So similar to what we've done before, put the vertical bar in and maybe put something like x is greater than negative 100. Well, certainly for everything on that figure, x is bigger than negative 100. It goes from about 6 to negative 6 for x values. So what should happen is nothing should disappear. But the only thing that will disappear is the center of that. Ooh, wow. That was weird. I guess you want to do that before you do the before you put your polygons on. That would be good because evidently my polygon disappeared. That's really interesting. So I did not expect that to happen. So before you put your polygon on, here we go. I would do that. I would consider, if you want to get rid of that little point and you're kind of perfectionist about that, you can restrict the function in any way, even if it doesn't restrict the function, and that will get rid of that little point there. Not going to redo that because I don't want to redo that big polygon. Okay, so once you're ready to get rid of the image, right click on the image. So right click, choose select image. Right click again on the image and delete the image. Okay, so there's my final project. I'm missing a few essential parts. I'm not going to get a very good grade on this. I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't hide all my points. I'll get deductions for some of that, but hey, I got something to turn in here at least. So to turn it in, make sure you save it. So after you're all done, hid the axis, hid the grid, everything, your image is hidden. Then I want you to go to save, and you probably have that already saved yours. I'm just going to call it Smiley here. Saving mine in downloads. And so now that's the file I'm going to send to me to turn it in. So you actually turn in your file. It's a TNS file. It saves as smiley.tns is the type of file it is. And you go ahead and turn that in. The other thing you need to turn in is your, and I'll give you a way to do this in Haiku on Monday here. So you need to turn in your journal. So like for my particular project here, my circle, if you look at it, again, to see your circle, hit tab. That's my relation. That's my equation of the relation here. I went ahead and copied it on this page so you can see it right here. So what I want you to do for your journal, which you may already have done, I'm not sure if you've done it yet, but if you haven't, tell me where that particular location is. It's going to be relation number 1 because it was in relation 1. And then your equation. I don't need any restrictions, by the way, when you do this. But you would write whatever your equation is, x minus 2 or 0.283 squared plus y minus 0.02 squared equals 38.9. So we're going to solve this for y. It's going to take a couple steps. I need to get this over to the other side, so I'm going to subtract it. So I get y minus 0.02 squared equals 38.9. You won't really need a calculator for this part, minus, because I'm not going to actually multiply this out, minus 0.283 squared. You're going to take the square root of both sides at this point. Don't forget plus or minus when you take the square root of both sides. And so I get y minus 0.02 equals plus or minus the square root of that whole mess. Don't try to simplify it. Just write it out, whatever it is. Last step, move the 0.2 over, so I'm going to add that. So y equals 0.02 plus or minus the square root of 38.9 minus x minus 0.283 squared. So that's my equation. If I were to graph this as a function instead of relation, I would have to type in 2 functions, one with a plus there, one with a minus, and that would be my circle equation. So we would actually graph this. The plus part would graph the top half of the circle. The minus part would graph the bottom half of the circle. Again, you got to do the same kind of thing for a relation, and in a similar way, you're really going to just tell me where it's located. Relation 3. That was in relation 3 for me. And then you're going to solve that. I'm going to go ahead and just like move this over so that it'll be, to save some time here, y minus 2.47 squared over 3.9 equals 1 minus this fraction x minus 1.99 squared over 0.5. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3.9. So multiply both sides by 3.9. 3.9, that cancels nicely. You're going to get y minus 2.47 squared equals 3.9 times 1 minus. Again, don't try to simplify this at all. I guess it's 0.5. There we go. And next couple steps, I guess you would take the square root of both sides at this point. So square root that side, square root that side. Don't forget, this is really getting messy over on the right-hand side. But again, I'm not really going to simplify this. So I'm not too worried about it. I don't really need a calculator for this. So y minus 2.47 equals plus or minus square root of 3.9 times 1 minus the fraction x is 1.99 squared over 0.5. Sorry, this is getting a little messy. And then the last step, I'm going to add 2.47 to both sides. That cancels it out there. Y equals 2.47 plus or minus the square root of all that mess. So that would be your functions you would type in if you didn't type them in as a relation there. So it's going to have a plus or minus. The steps are pretty much the same for whatever kind of ellipse or function you have there. So that's the journal aspect, and you'll be able to upload that to Haiku, to PowerSchool there. I'll have a way to ask for that. So you'll be able to upload that by taking a picture of your page. I know I didn't do x equals parabola. Make sure it's x equals parabola when you do that, not y equals. So it'd be whatever. I didn't have one in my particular project, but you should have one in yours. It's the kind that looks like that. The parabola looks sideways there. So you have to solve one of those for y as well for your journal for that one. So that is your, that's really the final step. So if you're at this page, you're ready to go ahead and turn in your project, which again, if you turn it in by Monday, you get extra credit. So keep that in mind. I would try to turn it in by Monday by midnight. Enjoy. Thanks.